Welcome again on Kibaro Network. We take a statement from Lare Sisay speaking to Peter Gomez on coffee time. Lare Sisay tabulate corruption allegation Barrow government has failed to address since 2017, and part answers Ahmad Bass press release on Dabo. We will get more details on his statement, and after that, we will elaborate more on his statement. Thank you for joining Kibaro Network.
Welcome back. And we also welcome back Lare Sisay, my guest. For the second time this week, he was here on Monday with the UDP's viewpoint on this year's State of the Nation address by President Barrow. This morning, he is here to talk about the cost of living crisis, the cost of doing business in this country, the lingering standoff, pitting cement importers against the trade and revenue authorities, the Kush problem, and lots besides. But since it also coincides with the press release just issued by the Ministry of Lands, Larry tells me that's a natural starting point. Good morning, Larry.
I didn't say it's a natural starting point. You said that, and I said I'm locus standi on that one.
Okay.
But let me say one thing. I think the press release has had a lot of public response to it. But the accusations that he has leveled are going to be appropriately addressed in real time.
By who? The accused himself?
No, the party.
Okay.
The party, because
this was directed at lawyer Dabo.
The party will respond.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying I'm not locus standi on this one. I can talk about it, but not as authoritatively.
Well, we don't have much time, so let's just move on to...
But I will respond like this. I have here 18 cases of corruption.
18?
18 cases of corruption that we had discussed in this program since I started coming 3 years ago. 18. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. If I call out the names, you'll be shocked. None of these things have been dealt with adequately.
Very quickly, let's go through them.
You have the security port contract, 160 million. Banjul roads, 41 million, which comes to 2.2 billion at the exchange rate at that time. COVID-19, Ministry of Health, 600 million. Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, 2 billion. GAM Petroleum, 1.2 billion. GPA, 1 unit, 400 million. The $35 million that was deposited in the First Lady's account. The Local Government Commission revelations, I think everybody is seized with that. NAWEC and the OIC resources, OIC and other resources that went into NAWEC. The Gambia Ferry Services. The 23 million which was unaccounted for in the 2024 groundnut trading season. The US 50 million sovereign guaranteed loan that was given to JA Oil. The OIC vehicles, $185,000 allegedly per vehicle. 11 of them haven't been delivered. The 100 million NDMA case with the police and parliament. That's $100 million from the disaster management unit. The recycling of our strategic assets, the bridge, GPA, GAMTEL, ferry services, it goes on. The former lands minister's case, the Abasanyan case, still pending, and Similex. Now, the UDP is not responsible for any of these things. The point I'm trying to make is, when UDP raises an issue, rather than the government addressing the issue head-on, so that they can educate us and inform the general public, they deflect by attacking the party leader or the party, or both.
You don't think Hamad Ba's press release tried to address that by saying that land allocation to leaders of this country is a tradition, and that he himself has benefited from that when he was in government?
We all benefited from it, but it's under a legal framework. The question then becomes, has that legal framework been followed in allocating this property to the president? He should have addressed that. It has not been addressed. So don't push me into responding to Ahmad in real time, let us just say that what he says for us is just a deflection. And it's a typical strategy of this government. You deflect and then you demonize. And you were, when I was coming in, you were talking about the National Human Rights Commission, talking about hate speech and all. There is nothing more serious than deflecting what a concerned citizen has raised. You deflect that and then you attack and demonize that individual. What Lawyer Dabo has done in that press conference is to raise a legitimate concern. It was obvious that it was brought to our attention, and he raised it so that the government can, in all fairness and transparency, respond to it. Now, there are two responses to that issue. I think the NPP spokesperson also responded, quoted a law which is not applicable to that particular property. Now the lands minister himself has not answered our question within the framework of the legislation that manages land.
But
I'll stop at that.
He says they have the mandate, and they have relied on that mandate to reallocate.
There is a law that gave them that mandate, isn't it?
You want him to cite
Yes.
the specific clause or chapter in the Constitution?
The specific clause and the section, not just the Constitution alone,
or the Lands Act.
But the Lands Act has provisions in it. And we are all allocated plots based on that. I have one plot since 1994. That's the only plot I have from government. I don't want a plot from government. So for Ahmad to say we all are entitled to plots, yes, we all are entitled to plots. But it's an animal farm thing. Some animals are equal. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Let Ahmad himself tell us how many plots he has here and abroad.
Let's move on to a subject we love to talk about. That is corruption.
Yes. Yeah. When you demonize an opposition party and you demonize opposition personalities, you lose heavily in terms of what inputs they can bring to bear on solving the country's problems. Corruption, this list that I have given you, is by no means exhaustive. It is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh.
Just the tip of the iceberg.
Seriously?
Yes, very seriously. And I said the other day that I am reading all these audit reports. Believe me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I just picked this because I have been consistently talking about them since my first and second appearance here. People may be familiar with them. But when we are ready, we're going to give out a list of all the things that are happening, including the recent thing that they did at the airport, this Nero company that they established and bumped out GIA from handling planes when they land. Now, during the OIC, we saw what fiasco that has created. So we are going to be meticulous in bringing these things out, and they should just stop deflecting. Let them answer these questions as honestly and as transparently as possible.
I know, your main target is the president and the executive, but what about the other arms of government, especially the way we see them, enhancing their preferred word, their salaries and allowances and benefits, which is the word they like to, bandy about.
We are not necessarily focusing on the president and the executive. This list of corrupt issues that I listed, very few of them have a direct link to the president. These are all institutional corruption. That's why I keep saying we have an entrenched systemic corruption problem in our country. And that's why I said you need to reform our public service management structure so that you can minimize these things. Now, coming back to your question, we are not going to target the president in person. We are going to target the things that he does in the name of we the people. That's what we are targeting. Now, when it comes to the other arms of the government, particularly the legislature and the judiciary, I have been on record on social media to say I did not support the president's salary increase. I did not support the salaries increments that the legislature gave itself. I did not support the vehicles that were given to them. I have not supported it. I will not support it. And I am not supporting, in its current form, this judicial services bill. In its current form, because they tagged it with a bill that was going to repeal a previous act in the 1997 Constitution, specifically for the gratuities of legislators when they die or retire or have been recalled. Now, all of this is happening because we have a problem, a systemic problem, where the anti-corruption bill was passed. For me, having helped craft some of these things in many countries, that anti-corruption bill is weak in terms of its accountability mechanisms. But what is more important is that the president acceded to it in February this year. He has not set up the institutional mechanisms for implementing it. So who do you hold accountable? What is the legal framework for dealing with these corrupt practices? And that is why when things like this happen, the president being allocated land in an area that is already occupied, that's why people raise alarms. Now, let me go back to the assets declarations that were done in 2021 for the presidential election. I think your viewers will recall that the president declared that in 2021, he declared that he has 7 landed properties. 7. Now, he also declared that he has about 200 million in his personal account. Now, for someone who got into the presidency poor, how did you get these properties?
How can you determine that he got into the presidency poor? I mean, did he declare his assets just after?
No, he didn't declare his assets, but we all have eyes and ears. Can anybody tell me that President Barrow had $4 million in his personal bank account when he was selected to lead this coalition? No.
Well, I can't. But
maybe, I can't either.
Maybe there's somebody out there who can.
Please let them bring it out so that we can address these questions and put them to rest and focus on the things that will make this country move forward.
So 200 million in 2021?
Yes, after just 5 years in office. Now, the 7 landed properties are everywhere. There is a rumor on social media, and this is the problem with government not being transparent with us. They trigger rumors, and people are speculating, saying they have allocated land to ministers in Brufut Heights, and they are saying, does the president have a plot there also? How many plots does his spouses have? His children? These are all issues. These are all governance issues that the president should just come out and make it clear, and let's move from these issues and focus on the bigger issue of how to improve our living standards.
That is important, because cost of living is not going down at all. It's
no,
going up
it's
and
going
up and up. I was just about to interject there and say, thankfully, his information minister is listening, and probably before you leave the studio, he will start answering some of these questions on social media. An issue was also brought up by his supporters from his speech, where he talked about the need for all of us to join together and work in the interest of just one thing, the Gambia. He's calling for dialogue, isn't he?
But didn't we have a national dialogue? We had a national dialogue. The majority of our supporters told us not to attend. We attended. I personally attended with 3 of my colleagues. We participated in it. Good discussions were held. It wasn't partisan. And I think the recommendations were on target. But when was that? And immediately after the national dialogue was held, they tear-gassed an opposition rally at Buffer Zone. The president went on and started telling his supporters, you are in power, fight back. Now, I heard the National Human Rights Commission saying hate speech is bad, it creates conflict. I agree entirely. But shouldn't we start with him and those around him who make these incendiary statements and say enough is enough? So, consultations, we can consult all we want. What is required is the political will to forget about these small issues and focus on the bigger issue.
But I suppose the opposition also could be held responsible for some of the hate speech. What Ibrahim Adiba said, for instance, in response to the president's NAR comments.
The blame can go around and around and around. And that's why I'm saying, let's forget about these things and focus on the bigger picture. The bigger picture, how do I, Peter and John and Muhammad, make a decent, honest living from our economy? For me, this is my issue. Now, this brings me back to three bills that are being crafted. The Cybersecurity Act, the Data Protection and Privacy Act, the Domestic Content Act.
What about them?
These are three pieces of legislation which are hallmarks of authoritarianism.
How?
Your station could be closed because of this domestic content issue. Let me start with you. If this thing goes, and some of us keep coming into this studio of yours, it could be closed.
Oh, they wouldn't dare go that far, would they?
Well, I'm just saying these are legal frameworks that can be used.
Yeah.
And they are frameworks that chip away from our freedoms and our rights and our democratic institutions.
That's what I'm saying. They try to curb the freedoms and rights of people. I mean, the international community on which they rely for the funding of their ostentatious lifestyles and habits would be cut short. And that's how the international community would deal with them.
So if the international community will not allow them, why go through the process of formulating them and passing them through the legislature?
Well, you know what they do. They try. It's just like, the former president's bill. It came the first time. They kicked against it. It went back. It came back. The judicial, officers' remuneration bill, came the first time. It was, rejected. It's come back again. The draft constitution was rejected. We are told it will come back again. That's their way of doing things.
But that's just my point. It's a waste of time to engage in these things, knowing fully well that you have no intention of going through what the people want.
I agree. And if you prevent open discussion of ideas like we are having now, people will go underground.
Exactly.
You close down West Coast Radio
goes online.
Goes online, exactly. Even could be run from outside the country. I was conducting the program from the comfort of my daughter's room in the UK.
Yeah.
So I hope they're not contemplating that.
My issue is why the need for these laws? Yeah. Let us lead by example. Yeah. I come to this platform, I go to other platforms. You never heard me insult anybody.
Oh, no.
You never heard me personally attack anybody. I deal with the issues, and I tend to prefer solutions for the issues that we talk about. This is what UDP has morphed into in the last 3 years. Now, one more thing.
Go ahead.
We are talking about all these things. Do you know that, have you renewed your driver's license? I tried to renew my driver's license from January. I paid. I tried to renew my national ID card. I paid. They gave me receipts. I still don't have my cards. And you know why?
No.
Because there is a problem with the Similex contract. The current IGP was the Director of Immigration who oversaw that contract. I think he needs to start solving that problem, because you cannot use those two vital national documents to get money from citizens and not give them the cards that they need. When I went back and complained just last week, I was told, but you have your expired one, just attach this receipt to that and you are identified. Hello? Where in the world do you see something like that? These people don't realize that sometimes when you go into Senegal, you cross into Senegal, you give your passport. They will take the passport, But they will also ask you for your national ID card. That has happened to me twice. And I couldn't produce my ID card. What I did was the UN document that I had to show that I was a staff of the UN, that's what actually bailed me out. They were going to deny me entry because they could not be certain who I said I am, aside from my passport. So this Similex issue is bad because people are not getting the service that they are paying for. So for me, it's just a ploy to collect revenue.
Yeah, and if there's no if there's no new card to give you, why would the state take your money?
Yes, that's why I'm raising it.
And if you try to enter Senegal, which you haven't raised, if you try to enter Senegal and you present an expired ID card, they would let you in, but after paying. It's like you're paying a penalty for presenting. It's the same with the driver's license.
Yep.
So it is expensive for Gambians not to have documents. One, you go and pay, they take your money, you don't have a new document. You want to go to Senegal, you enter Senegal because you've presented an expired document, you pay.
You pay. I went to Southern Africa. And Southern Africa, most of the countries, except for South Africa, those are former English colonies, Commonwealth countries. They have a special relationship with the Gambia. So sometimes when I go there, I take my expired diplomatic passport with me. I take it.
Why can't you renew it?
They refused.
They won't give you a new diplomatic passport?
No, they wouldn't, even though I'm entitled to it.
You say too much.
Well, the evidence is there. I can give you the evidence, it is there. I transited through Johannesburg. And the guy said to me, "Bra, where is your transit visa?" I said, "I don't have a transit visa. I'm not getting into South Africa." He says, "Yes, even though you are not getting into South Africa, you still need a visa." That's when I pull out my expired one, and he saw that I have transited through South Africa hundreds of times, thousands of times. And he said, "This time I'm going to let you go. But next time you come, you don't have a national ID card with your passport, you are not going in."
So you need that ID card.
I need that ID card. People need that ID card.
Absolutely, absolutely. Unfortunately, Larry, we have 4 minutes left.
As always.
Yeah. Even if I gave you 10 hours, you would still want more time.
Now the cost of living.
Yeah.
I want to say just a few things. This is the only country that I know where when prices go up, they never come down. Fuel was around $35. It crept up to its current level.
It went up and down at some stage.
Yes, up and down, but still the trajectory is the same. When it goes up, it doesn't come down. The price of commodities also, same. Now, except for onions. I always give that qualifier. Because,
and potatoes.
Yeah.
And potatoes.
But the bigger point is prices don't come down in ways that can actually help those who need the help more. And I keep saying this government needs to move away from taking care of themselves to taking care of us as citizens by instituting programs that are called palliatives that can help the consumer the poor consumer on the street. Unless that is done, the view of people is they are just taking care of themselves. They are not taking care of us. Because all these bills we are talking about have absolutely no impact on the ordinary person on the streets. It's for them. And I think it is very divisive because on social media you could see people saying, but they are discriminating against us. I'm a teacher, I'm a nurse, I'm a driver. What about me? So the intent may be good, but it is divisive. Now, let me qualify to say nobody is doubting the need for our judiciary to be independent, for our judiciary to be well paid and well compensated, because that is what gets rid of corruption. But there is a way to do it. This piecemeal approach that the president, the government, and the legislature have taken is not helping them. It shouldn't be piecemeal. If they do it, they should do it to cover everybody, so that nobody can say, X was targeted to benefit. I am not targeted, so I'm not benefiting.
Yeah.
Divisiveness must stop.
Just finally, I won't let you go off without, asking you to say something about this national epidemic that we have called Kush.
Yes. Just now, I came a bit later. Normally, I would come 10, 15 minutes early. Mm-hmm. I came in late today because I saw some young men in one of the corners in the Kololi area that I live, and I decided to engage them. You know, Peter, Kush is decimating our young people. These guys, yes, they are addicts, they are doing it, and they will break laws to do it. But you know, the government needs to declare a drug national state of emergency, but more importantly, establish rehabilitation centers for these young people. These are very smart people. One of them said to me, Uncle, he says, do you think I like the condition that I am in?
He did?
Yeah.
Wow.
He says, no, I don't, just now. He says, I don't like the condition that I'm in. And I walk around feeling like I'm a stigma. He used those words. Then I asked, I said, what's your level of education? O levels. And he's in the street corner, getting high on Kush. Now, the question is, who is bringing this Kush in this country? Who is bringing all these illicit substances in this country? But more importantly, why is our government not doing something about it? It's about time they forget about all these issues that we are talking about, because there will be no future for us if our young people or a vast majority of them get strung on these drugs. Yeah. There will be no future for this country.
And the indication is, whereas in the past drug abuse was mainly concentrated in the urban area,
yes.
I mean, it has filtered through to even remote areas of
That's what I'm saying. I said the last time that it's not an urban, peri-urban issue. Even in the big rural settlements, it is there. So the government needs to do something about this Kush. Now, the Inspector General of Police, I saw a petition flying around on social media, policemen allegedly complaining. I think this Inspector General has his work cut out for him. Either he pulls up and solves the problems of discontent within the police force. And they are discontent because their emoluments are low. Some of them, when they talk to you, you will be amazed what they tell you. So he has his work cut out for him. And if I was him, the way he handled the Brikama Area Council issue, going there personally to talk to people, to calm things down, for me that was good. And hearing Pate Jalo also say the things that he has said, also is good. For me, it's all about your legacy. What do you leave behind when you hold a post? If they want a legacy for themselves, they will not be doing the things they are doing. If they want a legacy for themselves, they'll not be spinning things that we say they should look at. And we say they should look at them in very good faith as loyal opposition. Nobody loves this Gambia more than me. And I refuse to say that because I have a differing point of view, because I differ with them on policy in the direction of the country, that makes me a bad Gambian. No. Those who are stealing our money, the corrupt ones, those are the enemies of progress. Those are the ones who don't love this country.
And on that note, Larry, thank you very much for your time again. That brings us to the end of Coffee Time with Peter Gomez. It's not the end of the week yet. That will be tomorrow, so do come back for another edition of the program.
Yo mbadi mo mbeli ya moy kumol mul yalan ko le fota kumol mul yalan ko faake ba e wolef faake ba samata baraka baake nyela kumo moy ila kumo seneyata alo kuta momul la fatonya moy la ni nyi moy kala ne ko tonya le nyenti momul lafta horomo moy la ni la kumo moy kala ko nyimu horoma kumo leti bari yaje horomanta ko ni nabe ko kera aka kole ya baake pour yediya maye imman a diamu kawala moy yalon ka te kawala moy andu diam tawal Amad Badal surtout Sidi Ndiaye Amad Ba fon la ko mo sa afo domandi yalla de bar Sidi Ndiaye mu yalon ka ma wuli kilo kono at keta dindim fuuri mbati nyim banko ka ya jente man nte man jikila temo la kola mun tambita fondin ke mu yalon ka ta kabe jikiri ne ko man sale bata kala fenta ta fanke no la fenti na man ke mansa o mansan nata asa fangiri ngiri ndi no ma asiko ke donki lalate fo atela hajo le jara ala hajo ka jara min to banko dingol la nafulo wo mun dindim fuuri mbaleti duniya la bango ka ke bataleti an ni tada ala hirani ala me dema wo ka tuyini ala tema jele fa ke ba baraka baji na diamote ci ala jang kali tentu kali jay kali nimbara al nal bari ma pa mane la baraka baji ala la moy ko nyimal